everyone. I apologize for not being able to upload the past two videos yet for Saturday and Sunday. Some things came up and I wasn't able to get to making the videos, but I am going to be making them both now, so I will be caught up for this week. And without further ado, let me discuss the underrated film that I wanted to briefly address today, and that is Punch Drunk Love. Now, I did make a video a little while ago discussing Adam Sandler films, and how I feel like the majority of them are of not good quality or lack substance or value. And with this one, though, I find this to be in a different category. Punch Drunk Love is not technically an Adam Sandler film because he wasn't the director, but he was the main character, the main star of the film. And he wasn't in a comedic setting. Now, usually when we think of Adam Sandler, we usually think of him as a comic, as someone who started off on SNL, someone who has a lot of history dealing with comedy, and not so much drama or other kinds of genres within film. Now, the interesting thing about this film is that I think it's actually probably Adam Sandler's best rated film. It's gotten the most, I think, praise compared to a lot of the other films that he's done. Now, I recently seen Blended, and that actually isn't so bad. It's nowhere, I guess, on the greatest movies of all time. And again, I don't think any of Adam Sandler's movies are like the greatest movies of all time. But I will say that Blended was back to sort of being more about him not so much forcing in the writing, but having other people sort of handle that and have him just put on a performance and act. And he had Drew Barrymore with him, so I guess that allowed for some good chemistry to come and present itself on the screen. But with Punch Drunk Love, we are dealing with a completely different setup and a completely different kind of love story than Blended. This love story is very strange. This is a strange film in general. And it's never really indicated in the film whether or not Adam Sandler's character, whose name is Barry, if Barry has a particular condition or if he has some sort of disability. It seems like it might just be just social anxiety, but his character really is going through this emotional instability. And you will see this at the start of the film. He has 7 sisters, which I found to be rather baffling. Just this crazy amount of sisters. All the sisters are very, very rude and very disrespectful to him. They really treat him like, like he's a punchline. They don't treat him with any respect. And he's probably the nicest character in the movie. And he just has all of this built-up insecurity and inability to really socialize with people. I think as a result probably of him feeling like an outsider and feeling like he's been teased all his life by his family, which the majority of his family was probably his sisters. Like they are so bad-mouthed and so rude and disrespectful. Like, there were certain parts in the movie where I just wanted to punch the sisters in the face just because how rude they were to this poor man. But the interesting thing about Barry is that he's not lazy or like self-absorbed. He's very caring, and he has this, you know, business of his own, and he seems to have a sense of purpose. It's just his social life has been not so well because of this really built up insecurity that he has, and I think that's why he stands out, especially considering the fact that a lot of the sisters act pretty much the same. Um, you can't really tell the sisters apart so much because they just kind of look the same. You know, they talk the same, and you know, they act completely the same way. You know, they're really loud and they constantly talk and blah, 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 run their mouths. And Barry's just, you know, kind of the quiet one, just sitting there. You know, and he feels totally, completely incapable, I think, of really relating with any of his family members. But, and again, the parents are really actually never shown, which I think is surprising. I think that this would be interesting had they shown at least his relationship with his parents, but that's really not the entire focus of the film, but it does present itself as the main struggle in the beginning of the film of Barry trying to overcome his insecurities. And then ultimately, this is when it becomes a love story because he meets this woman who is, I guess you could say, relatively stable, just kind of normal. She's not in any way, shape, or form like Barry, I'd say, but I think they sort of balance each other out a little bit because, again, she's not like the sisters where they are bad-mouthing and constantly gossiping and blah, blah, blahing. She's really down to earth and really nice, and this is something I think you see rarely, actually, in a lot of films, in particular when dealing with women characters. And I found her character to be very likable overall. So, and the way she was presented, I think, was really nice too, because again, she's not the most pretty person in the world, and you know, Barry isn't really the most handsome man in the world, so it's kind of nice to just see, you know, kind of more of average people, you know, getting together and having a relationship, as opposed to maybe really attractive people getting together and having a relationship. So this movie really plays this down-to-earth aspect. The way that people talk to each other feels like how people would talk to each other in a normal real-life setting. But there is this plot that kind of comes in where we see an antagonist who's played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, out of all people, which I find hilarious that he's in this movie. And you'll sort of see how Barry gets involved with this villain, and how ultimately towards the end of the film, he really starts trying to put his whole, you know, kind of social life together, and he really starts standing up for himself. And it really shows you how love can really make people feel secure about themselves, and knowing that somebody really deep down appreciates them for who they are, despite whatever flaws that they have. And I think that's really, I think, the appeal for a lot of people when it comes to this film in particular, and why it's been, I think, heavily praised as one of Adam Sandler's better works. And again, I do think that he is an okay actor. I'm not going to say that he is perfect, but or say he's one of the top whatever actors out there. But I will say that I think his performance in this film was very strong, and I think all of the supporting characters did a good job, and Philip Seymour Hoffman as that villain was pretty funny. And that whole scenario there is kind of funny and strange. It's just really bizarre, but there's a lot of genuineness and heart to, I think, the characters, and I think I think had this scenario kind of played out in real life, I think this is really how it would have gone about. There's not a whole lot of spectacle. There's not a whole lot of Hollywood, I think, put into this movie. So this might deter some audiences because, again, I understand if movies are designed to be an escapism for people, but this movie I don't think is designed to be an escapist film. It's designed to be, again, kind of like Good Will Hunting, where you have sort of a realistic setting, interesting characters that could possibly exist. There's a really down-to-earth approach to this movie that I enjoy, but there's also a strangeness and a weirdness to it that makes it rather unique from a lot of other films. And again, it kind of goes slow at times, but I think it's supposed to kind of make you feel a little uncomfortable, make you feel a little bit strange. And I think that's only to get you, I guess, into kind of Barry's mind and his kind of mindset. Because, again, he is the main character of the film, and Adam Sandler does a good job of playing him. And I think this kind of a character would make a whole lot of sense for Adam Sandler to play. So, again, is there comedy in it? Sure, there's still some laughs here and there, but overall it's just designed to be different. It's not designed to be a traditional film or traditional romance. It's very out there. And that's, I think, the reason why it's underrated. I think it's underrated because, one, Adam Sandler hasn't done really a movie like this at all, really. When you look at his other works, maybe Click came close, because Click at least had some drama in it, and it had some realistic elements that you could say could happen to people, within their life. Again, the whole scenario, though, with going through time, that's obviously completely out there. But the whole idea of people changing and having their, work take up their life and, not caring about their family and sort of losing their family, those things can happen to people. And I think Click was trying to bring out that dramaticism. And although I think Click could have illustrated it a little bit better, we still have this film that I think does a good job of blending in this kind of weirdness, but also displaying a sort of genuine heart, because I think deep down Barry is actually a really likable character. I mean, yes, he has flaws, and yeah, he makes mistakes throughout the film, but you will see that he does want to be better, he does want to try to improve himself, and he does want to, stand up for himself and become something more than he really is. And I think this love that he got from this woman whose name's Lane in the film, I think she's played by Emily Watson, she sort of brings that out of him. And although I'd say maybe the love story could have been maybe a little bit more developed, I think ultimately it's more about a journey that Barry takes as a human being, rather than what both people in the relationship take. It's more about him sort of starting his life and sort of getting out of that slump that he's been in over all those years, and all of those letting all of that insecurity that has been inside him and letting it go. And I think that's something that really speaks to, I think, the people who enjoyed this movie, and me being one of them, I guess. Is it strange? Yes, it's strange. I don't think it overstays its welcome, though, because it's actually under 2 hours. It's, I think, an hour and a half or so, so it's not that long. There is, I think, a lot of heart to it. I think there's a lot of genuineness to what the film ultimately has to say, and I think you can really kind of draw your own conclusions, which I think is something also that is nice, and it's a lot different than your traditional film setup, and it's it's not grand, it's not a spectacle, but it does give you that genuine feel, and I think that's what a lot of people seemed to like about the film. But again, I believe it's underrated because, one, this is not a film that we've seen Adam Sandler really do or really be a part of. Also, the fact that, again, it is strange and it's not a sort of spectacle or anything, and it's not this grand comedy, or, you know, it's just a sort of laid back, strange film that sort of just takes in a certain aspect of somebody's life that could be relatively realistic and put it in this sort of strange setup. So again, you have that element too, that maybe didn't necessarily appeal to people, and then maybe the fact that Adam Sandler was in it, oh, maybe that turned some people off. Maybe it turned them off because they didn't see Adam Sandler being a dramatic actor. I think those mainly would be the two reasons why this film gets put into the sort of underrated category or overlooked category when it comes to Adam Sandler films, I think, in particular. And also, I guess you could say films in general, too. But usually when we think Adam Sandler, we don't think of dramatic roles or his ability to execute characters that are dealing with a variety of issues pertaining to drama or any other kind of genre setting besides comedy. So it's really nice to see this film that really deters from this, and I really enjoy how the film sort of deters from being this quasi-traditional film and being sort of just its own breath of fresh air. But again, like I said before, this, I think, all basically comes down to whether or not you enjoy these kinds of films. You know, it is a little bit slow, but again, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not like it doesn't go on forever. But at the same time, you know, it's really down to earth. It's not an escapist film, but I think it hits home, and is something that I think can be relatable to a lot of people. So I think it's definitely worth considering. But I think that's really all ultimately I can say about this film in particular. But if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Goodbye.